Welcome back to our chess story series, and I have a real treat for you today in the form of this grandmaster game between Richard Rapport and Niclas Huschenbeth. Richard is one of my favorite grandmasters because he's so creative and plays in such a attacking style, and one of the best players of today. He's also the coach of Ding Liren, who's the current world champion, and it'll be interesting to see if Richard will be Ding's second in the upcoming match against Gukesh, the Indian prodigy. So they'll be playing a world championship soon. In this game, this is when Richard was a lot younger. And Richard was playing against Niclas Huschenbeth from Germany, who later on became strong grandmaster too. But in this game, Niclas was feeling very adventurous, and that's how they came up with this masterpiece. Before I get started in showing you the moves, I want to tell you the plans for me, because I am still chasing that elusive IM title, and I'll be playing for all of August and part of September in Europe. I'll be playing a lot of games, and we'll see if anything good happens. And apart from that, before August, I'll be doing summer camps in July. So if you're in Canada, if you're in Ontario, then you should consider our Master Chess summer camps in Richmond Hill. And even if you're not in Canada and you can't get there physically, we have an online camp with IM Mark Plotkin that's starting in early July. So you can look into that. I'll put a post, a comment in the YouTube video. That being said, let's take a look at this masterpiece. So we start with Queen's Pawn opening. He's saying, give me my center pawns, give me my center squares, and let me sweep your knights off your feet, okay? For example, if the knights come over right now, nothing good happens, right? Because we can start kicking them one by one until they all have to go home. And that's not a happy camper. Very soon he may just get trapped, for example, right? So that's not what you want, which is why Black says, I like my center, thank you, and I like my space, which is why I'm keeping it with d5. White says, let me get that nice strong square on e5 in the future, and Black says, me too, you seem like a smart guy, I'll follow you. And then we have the Queen's Gambit. If you remember that show, Queen's Gambit, that's what it's about. That c-pawn that's saying, please eat me, and you can have a lemon slice, but I'll get your chocolate cake later, because the center pawns are like chocolate cake. They're delicious and important. And as for the lemon slice, yeah, it's nice to have lemons once in a while, but you can live without them, which is why White is offering a pawn so they can get the whole center later, whereas Black's chocolate cake is sorely lacking here. Okay, and that's actually what happened in the game, because Niclas decided, yeah, you know what, I will take that lemon slice and I'll try to keep it. You know, usually people give back that pawn on c4, they give back the lemon slice because they don't really need it. They prefer to break down White's center. So usually they take out this bishop, they play c5, and they say, all right, not a problem. I'm just going to destroy your center since you destroyed mine. And if White castles right now, Black takes, White takes, and we're left with the isolated pawn, the lonely pawn that's all by itself here. Okay? And if it's only one pawn, it's not that scary. It's not going to be kicking away knights anytime soon. So for that reason, most people give back the pawn, but Niclas was feeling adventurous today, or this day, and he said, I'm keeping it. You know what? Protected. Protected with b5. And what's the big deal? You can't eat this guy, you can't eat that guy. They're all protected in a nice pawn chain. And Richard says, you can keep it. I don't mind you having this pawn chain as long as I have a nicer pawn chain in the middle. And you'll see the power of these pawns soon. Right away, we kick out these knights. Okay, and the knights, especially this guy here, doesn't have many good squares, right? If he goes home, that's horrible. Here, he tends to get trapped later on. The only good square is d5, because if you go knight d7, ooh, e6 or a4, everything looks good for White, right? And the pawns just keep on going, all right? This knight decided he wants to jump to d5. Okay, and that's the best square for him. And this is a well-known position. This has been played a lot. And how do we break down the pawn chain? Do you guys think we can rip it apart so it's not that strong and not blocking our bishop? If you figured out a4, tap yourself on the head, you did a good job. Okay, a4 is correct because we destroyed the pawn chain. Make sure these pawns don't stay together. We can't have that. Okay, and what happens if the pawns start kicking us? Isn't that annoying? Aren't they kicking us like a soccer ball? But no, because they're kicking me into heaven. My knight is so happy to be here. He can see everything from his nice little outpost. And these pawns, on the other hand, are not doing so great, so I'll be eating them soon. Okay? Even if they start running, they're further and further from their house. The further you go, the easier you are to eat. Right? Just like the story of Hansel and Gretel. Right? So we can eat this guy in many ways, including Queen B3. Okay? He's not long for this world. For that reason, Niclas decides, nah, I think I'll take out my bishop. And if you take, I take, or first we can even take on c3. Pawn takes, and I'll take back. And now my bishop is fabulous. He's doing great. And if you take my rook, no problems. My light squares here will haunt white for a long time. Okay? So that's the idea Black is going for. He wants to keep this nice pawn chain here. But the second the bishop left, he's focused on his queen side, but not really doing much about his king side, right? He left all those guys there, and that's going to be really sad later on, okay? Especially after this amazing move. I'm just going to play it for you, and I'll give you a quiz question later. But the move is e6, kaboom. Very strong. This is what we call a nail pawn in chess. We plant the pawn there, and it's like a nail that's in your kitchen floor. If anybody steps on it, ow, it hurts, okay? You can't really let this pawn live, but you have to take it, because if you don't take it, it will take you and destroy your whole house. The queen's coming, the light squares are weak, and this is a disaster zone for Black. The knight's coming in, so many weak squares to jump into. Right, so white's just doing great there, which is why Black takes the pawn. You could try to play f6, but really? With those holes in your house? And that bishop? What did the bishop do to deserve this punishment? I have no idea. Which is why Niclas decides to take. He's not scared, he says he can survive. So Richard says, let's get this guy, let's prepare castling, let's just improve the position. We're not in a hurry, because it's not like you're in a hurry, not with these guys. All right, my knight's deciding whether to go here or take this beautiful outpost. We'll see based on your behavior. Okay, Black decides to get rid of this guy and open up the bishop, but that was his good piece. All right, he removed his one good knight. So we take back and queen d5. He says, I lost my knight, but I gained a beautiful queen. And the queen is holding everything here. So far, so good. But here's a very strong move. Knight g5. Saying, you want a pawn? You can have it. My knight is making way for this nice little skewer. And the skewer is coming for you, missus. Okay? And the queen has to take at some point. Like, what else? She can go back, I guess. But then I would probably I would throw in a check, although that kind of helps their bishop, right? So maybe we could go for bishop g4, which looks very, very juicy, with queen e2 coming. Or we can even trade off this bishop, because it's their only good piece. Even trading it would give us a deadly double attack. So for that reason, Black says, no, thank you. I think I'll take the pawn, and let's see what you have here. Okay, the rook runs away. There is no choice. We couldn't go anywhere else. Bishop f3 would trade the queens, right? And we like the queen zone. If we're down a pawn, I mean, we get the pawn back perhaps, but no, they can play c6 and keep the pawn. So this one is not so clear at all. actually a fan of black there. So for that reason, he keeps the rook on the board, doesn't trade anything, and offers another pawn. Do you guys want to take that pawn? Is that your idea of a good time? No, because that pawn is the most sour lemon slice ever. And while you're busy eating the flank pawns, the lemon slices on the side, I'll be busy sticking this knight in your roof. Okay? It's very hard to live with here. Okay? For that reason, black decides, no, I think I'll just develop, I'll try to castle, bring my knight out, get the knight here. He's trying to fix his pieces. But instead of a nail pawn, we now have a nail knight. And this nail knight is right in your house, keeping you from casting, bothering your bishop, bothering this pawn, preparing a fork. What else do you need from one piece? And it's super hard to remove, right? How do you get rid of him? With your king? Really? You sure? I don't think you will get rid of him. I think he's staying here, okay? So for that reason, black said, fine, I'll defend if I have to. And they're trying to deal with a nail knight. I call him the Loch Ness Monster because he's even scarier than an octopus, right? There was a grandmaster who said that knights on e6 and d6 win games by themselves. You don't even need to help them. They just do the trick themselves, okay? So that's what Rapport is counting on here. And when the rook ran away, what's the consequence? The result is that the A highway is open. They left this road all for us. So of course we're gonna use it, right? We come into the house, we break open the A file, and we jump in, okay, attacking that bishop. We go for that bishop, we pin it to the pawn so that they can't remove the bishop anywhere more useful. They can't use the bishop, right? Also, if this queen's gone, thanks for everything. Right? For example, let's say they do something silly. Okay, I can even play f3. Who's helping that bishop? Who's helping that pawn? They don't have enough friends. Okay, so in the actual game, Niclas decided to run back, but that's wasting time, which could have been used for the king side. Yeah, the king side's begging to come out, but it'll never get the chance because of the nail pawn / knight here. Okay, and now we have this second attacker coming in through g4, saying 2 pieces on one line. Let's get the bowling ball for the bowling pins. Okay, we're getting ready to bowl on this diagonal, and black says, stop it with your bowling ball. I'm gonna kick your rook away. You're gonna go home, and I'll fix my pieces. But it wasn't meant to be. When somebody attacks you, you should look for ways to attack them. You shouldn't be a chicken and run away. The first thought should be, can I hit them back? And in this case, yes, we can. Knight c5. We hit both this bishop and this knight. We use the pin, and that's going to be a fork if we get here. Okay? And we give them the rook, because if they take it, like what else can he do, right? Then we're going to get the fork on this knight. And if they try to take our knight, I'm kind of liking pawn takes. There may be something even better. For example, we can take this guy too, but it should be winning around here. Oh yeah, because after this, if they take the rook, we have queen check, and this should be mating very, very soon. Okay, the king cannot survive like this for very long. So that's why we're offering him that rook. They don't want to eat it. Okay. Instead, he takes on a7 right away. And we take on d7. And now the king is finally out and about. He never found his shelter, and now it's time to finish his career. Let's see how. King has to run to d8, because if he ran over here, I don't think he's surviving much either. For example, I'm kind of liking queen e2. Of course, queen h5 is the first move to look at. And there may be even bishop check, followed by, let's say, queen g4 looks delicious, right? Because that queen is so far away that she can't even help us as we come and eat everything. Okay, if the rook moves away here, we have checkmate in 2. Okay, so for that reason, the king decided to run here, and now it's time for you guys to shine. It's time for you to guess the quiz question. So first, we don't touch the rook, yeah? We bring in more attackers threatening mate. That rook is useless compared to my bishop. I'm prone to keeping this bishop. I'd like this guy on the board. I don't want to lose my best attacker, right? So we keep the bishop and we threaten mate, and they say, leave us alone. Again, when a beginner sees that, the beginner says, oh no, it's so scary, I have to run away. And they run away to queen e5, try to do something else. But good players look for ways to hit back the opponent. If they hit us, can we hit them back? The answer is yes. Okay. And we take this pawn here saying, go ahead, take my queen, take it. But we have a mating pattern on your king. So that queen will be pretty expensive for your king. Checkmate. Okay. And now my quiz question for you to demonstrate your brilliance comes right over here after c6. Niclas tried one last trick. He says, I'll block your queen, I'll block your bishop, my king can run away and hide, and you know, I'm doing all right, I'm still up on material. But it wasn't meant to be because of the last move in this game. I'll give you guys 3 seconds, you can pause the video if you like, and try to guess how the game finished. White to play and mate. 3, 2, 1. And if you found queen d5, pat yourself on the head, you're absolutely correct. Okay, we throw the queen away again. Why? Because we'd really like this bishop open. Really like that bishop open. And if they take, we open him up for a nice little bishop mate. Right? Knight and bishop mating pattern. And if they decide not to take, well, the king is on the run, but I can bring in more forces. Let's get the bishop, the second bishop in here. The knight will keep chasing, and the queen will finish the job. Checkmate. Okay, so what did we learn here? You can't live with these nail pawns and nail knights. They finish the games by themselves. They can win and checkmate and just ruin your whole army if you allow them to step into your house. So the nail knights are on the 6th or 3rd rank, like this guy here. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video and looking forward to making more sometime soon. All the best. Bye-bye.